Leon C., aka Morpheus. Here I am, my American people, again to empower you. Got a very not so long video, but special just like the rest of them. And it's according to an emailer who emailed me about a very specific question. And it turned out to be a very long conversation for a little bit of time there. But I'm going to go ahead and break it down to you in these studies. And I'm going to present it to you same as what my emailer have suggested. Now, forgive me of the sun that's beaming in this way. And I know that if you have problems seeing me, that's all right. I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just the sunlight beaming in and casting a shot over here. But we're going to get on to the video because it's all about what I'm saying, not what you see me doing. Okay. But anyway, the question is this, and it's kind of funny before I even get to the question because I think about it in so many directions. It's amazing how we are so smart about everything else. You know, it's amazing how we can calculate rocket ships. You know, it's amazing how we can surmise the algorithm of computers, and we have all this chemical science, and we're able to create the variations of medications in the hospital settings and devise fuel differences and stock market percentages. But yet when it comes to the basic human instincts, we have problems with. When it comes to thinking, we can't comprehend. When it comes to nature, it's an issue and it's a problem. And it just boggles my mind. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and give you this red pill because it looks like I'm getting ready to wake up a little bit, and I'm going to help you wake up. I'm going to go ahead and take my red pill. Like always, I'm getting ready to get started. Okay, and I'm going to make it as simple as possible. And here's the question. Okay. The question was with an answer, but more like it's a question. Check this out. They said we can't go back to the way we used to be. Okay? And the question will be, how can we go back to the way America used to be? How can we go back to the way that people used to be? How can we go back to the simple days? How can we go back to the simple times? Okay? That's the question. But this is what Morpheus is going to tell you. And I've written a whole lot of things, so I'm going to go by the writing, then I'm going to explain some things to you. Okay? Now, one thing you got to comprehend is it's a shame. It's a shame that a very few bad people make it worse for the majority of the good people. Just keep that in mind. It's a shame that only a few people who decide to do wrong, who decide to change the game, who decide to think differently on a negative scale affects the majority of the people. Because there's something that y'all don't comprehend. And it's a word that's called encroachment. And it's not surprising because we have a problem with semantics nowadays. We have a problem with the semantics of a word where we modify the word based on how we feel in that particular moment. Okay, and it's ridiculous. So it's not surprising that a lot of people don't comprehend what encroachment means. Things have happened by encroachment. Okay, it has happened by the changes of our mentality and our expectations in our environment. You understand? So it has been encroached over the years. It's not something that happened overnight. Okay, it's something that have always happened and has been happening for a long time. All right, the encroachment have come by commercialism, by advertisement, by business moguls, or business contracts, or business people who begin to you can say advertise their logos or their expressions over the public airways. You know, such as saying, meet me at janeandjoe.com. Okay, or for somebody say, meet me on Facebook or Skype, or let's communicate through ourplace.com. Okay, I remember years ago, before technology and the lifestyle of here in America began to start booming based on these several expressions that wasn't familiar around America and in some other countries. Okay, where when they began to say, well, meet me at my business at who knows, Tile and Black and Decker something.com. Okay. So what that did was not only for them to advertise their business or try to connect with the outside consumer of the world, but it gave other people who were in that business atmosphere an idea to begin to do the same thing. So it began to grow in such an encroached way that seemingly everybody began to say, okay, no, just I'll finish describing to you at something.com. Or if you want to know more about what I'm selling, go to something.com. You understand? Or like us on Facebook. You see, if you like what you're hearing, like it on Facebook. Okay, so that was a way of reaching out to the world. But the sell-off of it is that there's always a group of people who will use a positive viral system to be something totally negative, where they begin to use it just because they can, okay? Or just because they have the ability to do so. Just keep that in mind as well, and I'm not going to go into the details of it because there's so much to go into this particular passage that you need to understand, okay? Now, here's the thing. I look at this situation. I want you to comprehend what I'm saying. I'm talking about when somebody says, let's go back to the way things used to be. Okay. And based on the conversation I had with this email, they were talking about the simple days. They were talking about how people used to communicate physically. They're talking about how the dating world was easier. They're talking about when feminism weren't so aggressive, when women took care of the home, when there wasn't so much negativity, when children respected the parents. That's what they were talking about. But we got to comprehend something that Morpheus is going to teach you today, and you probably already comprehend. It just doesn't sink in like it should. Okay? This is an apparatus of situations. It's never one situation to cause a drama. It's several situations at one time to produce a new species. Do you understand? So in order, just like playing chess, in order to move a piece to a certain location on the chessboard, you got to finagle it, and you got to chase it, and you got to put other pieces around it to cause it to be in a compromised situation if you want to checkmate the king, or to cause to be in a position that is it's powerless. Okay, so we got to understand it's not one specific thing, and I can't tell you, oh, it's one thing. No, it's everything that has caused us to be where we are today, because we did not comprehend the encroachment, because technology is not one thing. The lazy behavior is not one thing. Us gaining a obesity than what it used to be, it's not one thing. Us being late, the GMO foods, our bad habits, the way that we deal with people. It's not just femininity. It's not just gender pronunciation. It's not just comprehending who we are as a genetic species. Okay, it's a lot of things in one thing that we did not put out. It was many fires at one time, and we just ignored it because we felt like it had nothing to do with us. But it did. The plan was to put us as humans, or an American lifestyle, in a compromised position to where now we feel like we can't go back. Okay? But I'm going to show you something. All right? I'm going to tell you why we can't go back, or why you think that way. Okay? Because look, going back or retracting the lifestyle that we have nowadays requires sacrifice, and it requires value. What that means is, what do you value more? There's a sacrifice. There were sacrifices made to get to where we are here in America. So there's going to be sacrifices that we're going to have to make to cut off of ourselves in order to go back to a simple life. We're just not willing to do it. And I'm going to tell you why. There's no such thing as you can't. It's because you don't want to. There's no such thing as impossible. It's because you make it impossible by the way that you think. And I'm going to tell you, because we got comfortable in laziness. That's one of the reasons. We got comfortable in laziness. We got comfortable in push button convenience. Okay? So we feel like, oh man, if I got to do it manually, it's going to take too long. It's going to be too much. It's going to be too hard. Oh, if I got to do this by paper and pencil, it's going to be too hard. It's going to take too long. I haven't did my cursive handwriting in a long time. You mean to tell me I can't do texting? You mean to tell me I can't use my fingers? Okay, so That's just a basic example. I'm talking about a whole lot of other things like autonomous cars, okay, like GPS and different things, instead of you figuring out and knowing where you need to go, okay, or remembering phone numbers and just putting it into a smartphone because it's smarter than you. That's the only thing that you can do instead of remembering the phone numbers, okay. It's because we've gotten comfortable with a lazy, convenient lifestyle. So it makes us feel like, oh, we can't turn back. No, you can turn back. You're just too lazy and don't want to make the sacrifices because you value. Listen, because we value where we are today. We don't value the way America used to be. We don't value the simplicity that life should be. We don't value relationships enough to interface naturally. We don't value the simplicity of man and woman coming together like they're supposed to. We don't value it because we value where we are today. If we valued it enough, we will make the necessary sacrifices to cut off the measure that we have built upon ourselves to get back to the way that life used to be. Now, let me teach you something first, because some of y'all still confused. Let me help you out if that red pill's not sinking in, okay? I call this the river of death. Listen, and in this river of death, all right, we are seeking fish because we need to feed ourselves. We need to feed our generation. We need to feed our life. We need to build up our finances. We need to live a better lifestyle based on the issues that we may be dealing with today. But let me show you something. This is why I'm bridging in fishing, and you're going to get the analogy or the metaphor here, okay? You're seeking fish, and you have an option. Either you can grab your fish by a net, or you can take a long, sharp staff and stab the fish, okay, to get your fish. Now, this is what happens. The difference, there's a big difference. In the net, where all you have to do is put your net out there and pick up the fish, doesn't require a lot of thinking. It doesn't require skills, okay? All you need to know is where the fish are, okay? And sometimes you could practically leave your net down there for so long with the bait, okay, and eventually pull it up. You're gonna have some fish in that net or basket, okay, that you have descended into the water or the ocean or the lake or whatever you're doing for your life. Metaphorically, okay? Open up your mind here, right? When you have to take a long, stiff staff, you need skill. You need practice. You need wisdom. You need knowledge of knowing how to follow the fish. You need knowledge to learn of the fish and the fish habitat and how the fish operates. So it takes a keen skill of self. It takes thinking, and it takes patience, because you just don't stab anywhere. You got to wait for that fish to sit still or get to a certain spot, and you stab. Okay? Now, the difference is you got one who don't have to think, who don't have to work that hard, but you got one over here who might have to work a little harder, but they have to think. They have to build their skills up. They have to build up their knowledge. And let me tell you about what life does. Okay? Life is not for the lazy. Life is not for those who feel like, oh, I'm just going to put my net out there and that's it. Yes, I am smart. I'm successful. I can do it. No, because life has a way of teaching you that you don't know what you think you know once you meet that crossroad, or once you deal with something that requires wisdom, patience, and skill. Do you understand? This person over here who's poking fish like that, they may not get as many fish as you. They may not be as broad as you, but they have something that you can never gain or don't have: patience, skill, knowledge, and the intuition within themselves, and the self-control. Do you understand? To be able to get that fish where they want it to be and put it in a bucket. Boom, boom, boom. Years ago, our parents, our grandparents, for some seemingly great-grandparents, because the grandparents now aren't doing it anymore. That's why we have the generation that we have today. So I got to say great-grandparents, because the dilapidation and the fallout of the human species has been going on for a long time. Okay, but they used to have that mentality of patience where they're like, okay, let me teach you something, grandson or daughter. This is how you grip the pole. You see what the fish is doing? You see that? You see what kind of fish that is? That type of fish is going to do this. And you, boom! See? All right? And then the daughter's like, yeah. Or the son is like, okay, I get it. This generation now is, oh, I don't want to have to do all that. I don't want to have to use this. I don't want to have to use patience. So I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to say, oh, Cirrus, where's the nearest park? Even though it's across the street. When's my birthday, Siri? Siri, dial the phone for me, Siri. Siri, I'm too busy. I'm in the kitchen right now, and I'm too busy. Instead of me wiping my hands and walking to the front room, Siri, can you open up the front door for me? Because I don't know who it is. Just lazy. So we just Siri, can you turn on a thermostat for me? Because I just can't do it. Just so comfortable and lazy, where we're so far out there where we don't have a consciousness or instincts to realize what we're doing to ourselves. Okay? I can understand if you deaf, dumb, and blind, or you elder and you can't do it. As a matter of fact, that's what some of those things are made for. When people are incapacitated, or when they are really in a serious situation and they need to call Siri for something because they can't physically do it. What I tell you in the beginning, I said it's a shame that a few people make it bad for the majority of everybody else. But you have nowadays where that few, okay, the minimalist, okay, the minority have taken over the majority. So now you have the majority of them who they're not elder, they're not ill, okay, they got 2 hands and legs, okay, they have the ability to speak and do things, they just don't want to do it. Do you understand? So I know if you're missing a hand and you got to call Siri because you can't do this because you're doing something else, because you really need to do something, but people are able, not enabled. So it have taken over the scene of sense versus common sense, because common sense is not bred with simple knowledge and self-respect anymore. Did you get what I just said? Okay, so now it's just a lazy scene of who cares about the semantics of the words. It don't mean anything. I'm just a living being who's just existing to be lazy. Okay, now let's go further if you don't understand what I'm saying. Okay, now this is why I call it the river of death. Now check this out of why I also said in the beginning, while I was laughing, I'm like, this don't make sense because we're so smart and we're so advanced, but yet we don't comprehend something that's very simple. But to a lot of people, they think it's complex. Oh, we can't go back to the way things are. Okay, I'll challenge you. Let's get very, very simple. Now the red pill is going to start hitting you. Okay, check this out. We're at the edge of the river, right? At the river. We're at the edge of it. Now, we know as American people, we know as society, we know as men and women, some of y'all know who's watching this video are in a devastating situation, okay, because of the way that the world is operating today and the American lifestyle. Okay, so you understand what I'm saying. If we go further than where we are today, okay, there's nothing for us but an abyss. We'll fall in, we'll drown, we'll die. There's no restitution. There's no salvation. Okay? If you are reading the news, if you are paying attention to your culture, if you're paying attention to the birth rate, if you're paying attention to the divorce rate, if you're paying attention to all these issues and movements that are going on in America and around the world, you'll comprehend that we have gone too far, and a lot of y'all are freaking out. Y'all like, oh my, like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I just told you. Now, I'm not even going to get into it. Let's just continue. Common sense, which we don't have anymore, will tell you, wait a minute. If I can't go forward, I need to go backwards. You have to be out of your mind to think. And all of us, a lot of us are, because we're losing our instincts, to think that the option of going backwards is impossible. Don't you know that it took several steps to get to where you are? If you went swimming and you're at the swimming pool and you don't want to swim, do you jump in there anyway, even if you don't know how to swim? That don't make sense. If going forward means you're going to drown, okay? Why would you go forward? All you need to do is turn around and go back. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, because I know what you're thinking. Here is the thing. I already gave you the red pill. Okay? You have already been injected with the Morpheus syndrome. So you can't go back. Check this out. I just told you what makes it perception of impossible is the fact that we are comfortable with the lifestyle we live in today, and we do not value the quality of life that used to be. That's why. In our mind, we thinking, oh, it's impossible. No. The world and the nation and America got to be where it is today by segments of movements of not only majority of people, but a lot of people agreeing to that measure. And then it happened. You can't, really? Bro, can't figure that out, right? So that means through the necessary measures as well, just like a hot air balloon, okay, you got to start dumping weight, or you got to start cutting off what is over encumbersome to you. Do you understand that? Over encumbersome. So if you are walking, or if you're trying to run a marathon, okay, and you got a really thick coat on that carries all this weight, and you realize you're not succeeding because of it, okay, logic would tell you you need to start dropping some stuff. You need to start getting rid of things. But the thing is, I'm telling you again, because we value stuff before we value human nature. We value laziness. We value the distortion that's going on today. We value broken homes today. We value the fact that we can't deal with people as simple human beings anymore. We value the over sophisticated, complicated thoughtlessness of the environment over simplicity. Because if you really wanted simplicity, you'll make it happen. Okay? Like, for example, you got all this junk in your house. All this junk in the garage. Just always pack ratting. Always just grabbing something. Oh, I can't throw this away, even though it's a day old McDonald wrapper. I might need it for something. I'm gonna go ahead and keep that. I might need it. Here's this old Pepsi bottle that I've already drank already. I mean, I know I got like 1,000 of them already. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in the corner. Okay. So you compiled in all this encumbersome junk. Okay, I'm using metaphor to talk about our lifestyle, technology, devices, laziness, push button ideas. I'm bringing that together. Okay, if you can get this. All right. So now you in this house that's congested and you need room. You need to bring somebody in. You need a simpler life. You need to have a dining room set. You're trying to do things for yourself. But yeah, you're like, oh, I can't do it. It's impossible because I got all this junk. So that means you value that lifestyle over a more clear, more free, more functional, more idealistic reality that you can have. So the fact is not that we cannot simplify, okay? It's not that we cannot disengage from our overzealous, gluttonous behavior, okay? It's because we don't want to. It's because if we disengage from the life that we have here now in America, okay, if we do so, that means we have to get rid of things. That means we have to make sacrifices. And how many times do you find the average human person or American individual who's willing to make sacrifices for the good? Okay, besides your officers that are making sacrifices to leave their house every day to protect you, or some people who are in that particular arena, or soldiers who have to go different countries to protect, or the navies and people of that nature, or soldiers around the country who has to protect the country. They're making sacrifices. But getting to the subject of the civilians inside of the American complex, okay, there's not a lot of sacrifices that are being made because we want stuff. Because every year is something new. iPhone 8. This is Android number so and so. And these new type of automobiles that's more plastic than it was before and garbage than it was before. But you want it because you got this touchscreen where you don't have knobs. You just push buttons to where you want to go and what you want to do because it's just so convenient for me to do that. because it's so hard for me to use my arms and legs that the creator have gave me, the universal creator have gave me. Okay, because we don't want we don't want to be disenfranchised of our lazy behavior. Do you understand? But the reason why obesity is rising, the reason why more than 17% of adult Americans are now obese and out of shape, the reason why the diabetic epidemic, okay, and the reason why other viral sickness, I call it diseases, are actually increpit on the human body is because we ourselves is accepting it. We are making it happen because of our lifestyle. Because we want to deactivate this, we want to deactivate this, and we want to activate this. We want to do everything like this, always sitting there, lunch break come. Ooh, look at that move. Look, what? Ooh, that's all we know how to do. Ooh, what time is it? Oh, okay. Oh, I used to have a watch, but wait a minute. Okay. It's impossible for us to go back. That's because you can't do that. And pick up a book or something and start reading. So wait a minute. I'm going to go ahead and make something happen right now. I'm gonna go ahead and see. Let me put some writing to it, some signature to it. Let me get down to the real brass tacks, because we can't do it. It's too much sacrifice. It's too hard to lift this up. Oh my God, what a weight! Oh, my arm is hurting. It's too hard. That's been the problem with Americans for so long. It's sickening. But wait a minute. Like I always say, wait a minute. Don't take Morpheus's word for it. Continue. Okay? Let the doctor tell you. Don't listen to this video. As a matter of fact, don't even waste your time. You can cut this video off and just keep doing what you do. Okay? Give yourself 15 or 20 years. Okay? When you are diagnosed with something. Okay? When you gain 50 or 60 pounds and you say, oh, I need to start losing weight now. My New Year's resolution is to lose weight. And you didn't even stick with the resolution in 2020. You let 2020 turn to 2025 and 2030 if we still exist around that time, the way we're destroying the earth. Okay? It is not impossible. What's impossible is the way that we think. We have made our parameters in the American environment a place of laziness. Do you understand? So therefore, we are so comfortable in what we are doing. It's too hard. Listen, it's too hard to imagine something that's very simple. The same way that you got to the edge of that river to say, wait a minute, I can't do this, otherwise I'm gonna drown. Then you need to turn your narrow behind around, okay, and walk away from the river. It's just that we're so lost of instinct where we look at the river and say, Siri, what am I supposed to do? I mean, really? Like, okay, I've never been in a situation before. Let me look it up on YouTube on how I'm supposed to deal with the situation. I can't swim. I'm going to drown. What am I supposed to do? Even though I got all this land behind me, and I know my legs are capable of moving, but I need instruction because there's no instruction up here. Are you catching my drift? Okay? As Morpheus, my task is to wake you up and to be real with you. Okay? We are at a time where unnatural is natural, where something that is not normal or should not happen is happening, is made normal. Okay? So you're putting filthy, nasty plastic icing on a genetically modified birthday or wedding cake and feeding it to yourself and children and saying it's good for you in the lifestyle that we live today. If you really want me to break it down at that metaphorically measured. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and end this audio log, and I got another special one coming from you. And I'm sure you got something out of this, and you might email her as well. And I have others as well that's going to empower you. You got my book down there. Is 2020 America Rise or Fall Hard? Down there in the description box for you to purchase, to read, and to assimilate as much as you need to. And for those who donate to my channel, I appreciate it. It only gives me more strength to give power unto you, my American brothers and sisters. This is Leon C., aka Morpheus. Remember, there's no such thing as impossible. It only becomes impossible when you begin to accept it as impossible by doing nothing about the situation.